as he says.
Please use your mic so the recording can pick it up. I will call the roll, let it show that all the council is present, recording secretary and administration. 3.0, are there any additions to the agenda? Dale?
Actually, just like to move 8.0, sorry, or 8.1 up to above 6.1.
Okay. Amber?
Yeah, under old business, I have a couple of them. Seeing as we have the equipment up and running, I just would like an update on the live streaming, and perhaps we can sort of couple that with the open mic, for lack of better terms anyway, the open mic portion of the council meetings. Just want an update on that, please. I'd also like an update on the Southside Development Citizen complaint issues, where we're at with that, and the auditor findings follow-up, please.
Mr. Mayor, the live mic thing, that was accepted as information, so I don't know why we would bring it up again, because it was actually voted down. Thanks.
No, the live mic was, or open mic was to be explored, and it was to come back to council.
Your Honor, it was part of the council procedural bylaw amendment, and that was voted down.
The procedural bylaw was voted down. Okay.
So are we revisiting the procedural bylaw, or?
Mayor Deck, member of the council procedural bylaw had to be done, voted unanimously, and it wasn't.
Okay, so where we're at with that then. Maybe we'll put that, instead of the live stream or the open mic, pardon me, how about we do where we're at with the council procedural bylaw? An update, is that better?
We can.
Sure.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Amber can't bring that up because she voted against it. When you vote against something like that, you're no longer able to bring it forward.
Mayor Deck, member of the council, is technically Councillor Sandal is correct. It's something that votes against the motion cannot bring it forward. It has to be something that voted in favor of the motion. And that one was a recorded vote with the 6-1 vote, with Councillor Harris voting against it. So technically in that regard, but actually administration does not mind providing an update as to that regardless. Just to close that out.
Will someone from council who voted for this please put a motion on the floor to bring it back?
I'll put a motion on the floor to.
Thank you, Dale.
Back.
Can I get a motion to accept the agenda as amended? Lorraine, all in favor? Carried. One part of the year. Yes. And for 15 years of dedicated service to County Gibbons, Denise Shurtgraf. How are you? There you go. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Oh.
I got you.
You got it? Okay, very good.
I know we're taking pictures, but I'll take them.
5 years of service, Noel.
I just pressed another ticket up.
Another 5 years of service, Joel. Era. money.
I'll move adoption of the minutes of the regular meeting of council on November 22, 2023.
Councilor, sorry, Your Honor, but you want to move up to the front as well?
You'll get this motion. Regular meeting of council 2020, November 22, 2023. All in favor? Carried. Make a motion to move Staff Sergeant Lou Sims up to,
I'll make a-
thank you, Amber. All in favor? Lou, how are you? Welcome back to council.
Great, and thank you. First time here since Staff Sergeant Chris Felfy has retired, and I'm delighted to be here today to present you with the quarterly update. on the- I'll start off with just going over our priorities with crime prevention. One of the things that we've noted with our hotspot patrols continue to occur in and around our prone areas of the detachment area. These patrols have led to suspicious vehicles and persons being queried with arrests and charges being laid. So that is working quite well for us. We are active in our Lose It and Lose It program, and it's doing well, and members are actively participating in it. Our target will be completed by next quarter, but that will not stop members from continuing, so with that as well. And we also keep in mind now with the weather, changing weather conditions, if it gets colder, people have a tendency to let their vehicles run a little bit more without, sometimes without actually securing them. And it's just a reminder that if the vehicle is unattended, there's a tendency that they may disappear on people, so we want to try to reduce that. Our workplace employee wellness and respect. We completed our target goal in our detachment meeting the first quarter. We held a training day with our membership, and given our change in membership, we're looking forward to having another one of those to take place. Enhanced awareness and education. This quarter, Coffee with a Cop occurred in towns of Lagal and Monacourt. Coffee with a Cop program is going extremely well. They have been well attended, and this past quarter we held a Coffee with a Cop in Morinville, and those things are really going extremely well, and lots of success coming out of that. So we will continue to have that as well. I'm hoping to extend up here into the town of Gibbons as well in the coming years. As for the APIS, we issued 109 violation tickets, 10 in July, 38 in August, and 61 in September. So we're just down 2 violation tickets short of what we were from last quarter. So we're actively doing this. And now that the festive season is coming upon us, we will be initiating check stops, and actually they'll be starting next week. Roll out, and one of them will be Operation Candy Cane, and hopefully we'll see that on the highways coming near you soon. And basically, if everything is all going good, our folks will get a candy cane, and if they're not doing so good, they don't get one. So, that's where you put it in there. So
You don't have lumps of coal?
lots of coal. And so we'll be doing check stops throughout the festive season as well. Just moving on to the provincial crime stats, and when I present those, I know that when I do talk about stats, they can be a boring topic to speak about, but just to give you an idea, these are the provincial stats, which not only encompasses Gibbons, but all our rural and Sturgeon County area as well. So far this quarter, we had one incident of robbery. We don't want to see too many of those, but compared to last year, this time we had 0. Sexual assault complaints, we have 9 so far this quarter. This is not something that we like to see as well. Compared to last year, we were at 9, so that we haven't seen an increase there. We did see a jump in other sexual offenses from 0 last year to 4 this year. The assault cases that we are getting, last year we had 46, and this year we're at 46 the same time this way. So we're still seeing that same movement along the way. Kidnapping and hostage taking, that's a good thing because we don't want to see any of those as well. So we had 2 last year, this time, and this year we got 0. Extortion, we have 1 in that this quarter from last year. Last year we had 13 cases, this year we're up to 16. Othering threats, last year, still seeing that level off period. Theft of motor vehicles, last year this time we had 31, and this year quarter we had 39. So we're seeing just a little bit of a jump, and that's why I'm encouraging people to make sure that their vehicles are secured, and our lock it and lose it program is effective, because we do come across vehicles that are not secured at night, which presents opportunities for our undesirables to move in and take those things. Theft over 5,000, compared to last year, we had 6, this year we're at 5. Theft under 5,000, we dropped down 1, this year we have 55. Last year this time we're at 56. So slight decrease. What is of note is the position of stolen goods. We're seeing an increased jump in that area. Last year we reported 15 of those cases. This year we're up to 34. So that's a remarkable increase there as well. Fraud cases, we're seeing them up slightly. We had 18 last year, this time, this year we're at 28. So we're seeing a bit of a jump there as well. Arson, those are always good too, we don't want to see too many of those. Arson also encompasses not only structure fires, but it also encompasses like vehicle fires. So far this quarter we have 1 of those. Mischief or damage to property, we've seen an increase in that. Last year we had 29, this year we're at 62. So we're seeing a bit of a climb there. Mischief other, we're just up slightly compared to last year at 29, and this year we're at 32. Offensive weapons defenses that dropped down slightly. We are 3 so far in this quarter as compared to 4 in last year's quarter when we reported on it. The disturbing the peace, we've seen a slight increase there as well. Last year we had 20, and this year we're sitting at 29. And fail to comply with breaches, we're slightly down this year. Last year we were at 24, this year we're at 20. We are actually breaching a lot of the political offenders that we have in our area. And once they're incarcerated, it's notably that our crime rate does go down. And start to follow on once they come back out as well. Drug enforcement, in this year, we've, same as last year, we had 3 cases, and we'll call it federal, dealing with other drugs. Liquor Act, we have 5 cases so far this quarter. Cannabis Act, we had 2, so just up 1 from last year. The Mental Health Act, we're actually down to 36. Last year we were at 41. Other provincial statutes, seen a slight decrease in that, 62 as compared to 73 last year. Municipal bylaws, and that's enforcement within the communities itself. This year we've had municipal bylaw for traffic, we have 1. Municipal bylaws itself other, it's 14 as compared to 11 last year. In the quarter that I'm presenting right now, we had 0 fails, but in the next quarter we'll see a change in that because recently we just had a fail last week and we had another one last night, so on Highway 37, and last week was on Highway 28. Entry to motor vehicle collisions, we're down. We had 26 last year, and so far this year we're at 16. Property damage we're seeing from motor vehicle collisions reportable is up from 72 to 92 in this quarter. Property damage, motor vehicle collision non-reportable, we are down on that 12, and so far this year we are 9. Roadside suspensions, we got, last year we didn't have any, but this year we got 9 of those cases, and I suspect that they may rise throughout the holiday season as we come up, unfortunately. Total provincial traffic tickets that's issued in this quarter is 613 that we've provided. Other traffic is 3, and criminal code traffic 25, slightly down 1 from last year. One of the things that we started to see a notable increase in this quarter is false alarms. Last year this time we had 23, and this year we jumped to 32. So we're getting a few of those as well. Also, another concern to us is false or abandoned 911 calls. Last year we had 1 this time, and this year we have 11. So we're starting to see an increase there for some strange reasons as well. Suspicious persons or vehicles. Last year we had 124. This year we had 127. On note on that one, those vehicles reports that we've had led to capture of individuals that are in the rural areas committing crime. So that has been fruitful in getting these calls and attending to these calls as well. Persons reported missing, it's good to see that that's down. Last year we had 25, this year we have 7. On the note of missing persons reports, all our files remain active, and all of these persons have been located safe and sound. So that's a good thing to keep in there. Spousal abuse, and that's a survey code reported. Last year this time we had 59, and this year we're up 69. So that's a slight increase there as well. And the last one, Form 10, which is the taking patients to the mental health facility under Form 10. We have 2 cases this year, which is comparable to the same as last year. So that's it in the crime stat reporting for the Memorial Provincial Rural Area.
Lou, you said that there was a significant increase in stolen goods found. Was that in the arrest of an individual that they had stolen
Yes.
goods in their possession?
Yes.
And was it all from this area, or was it from outside the area?
Some of it's just outside, some of it is there actually in the town of Gibbons, and also just out in the surrounding areas of Gibbons. Like, give you an example, we had a report of a skid steer stolen. I don't know if I said that right. And they were equipped with a GPS thing, which brought us to a property where a substantial amount of property, stolen vehicles, quads, ATVs, Stoneville and semi-truck actually located on the rural property. We're actually doing that.
How are the staffing numbers for this year?
Pardon me?
How's staffing for this year?
Our staffing, we have soft vacancies, we only have one art vacancy really, and that's gonna be filled in the coming, hopefully in the coming new year, that's Staff Sergeant Company's retirement, so, that puts us at one art vacancy. Soft vacancies, we got one on maternity leave, 3 on medical leave, and, that's where we're sitting, so we are hovering, especially the size of Morinville, if we lose those number of folks, it puts us in a bind where we have to call in additional resources.
Maria?
What disturbs me about your report is the big increase in spousal abuse. That is such a huge issue in the province of Alberta, and it's really disheartening to see how high it is here. What I'm gonna do is look at FCSS. They're all about preventative social services. If there are ways of educating the populace and helping them to understand what a healthy relationship is, I would very much encourage that, because that is very disheartening.
Member?
Thank you for your update, sir. I know that this isn't necessarily directed at you, but perhaps you and administration. There had been talk about having a satellite office here for an RCMP officer. Do we know where that's at right now?
I can speak slightly to that. We can go down the road and call it a satellite office at the moment. In that if there is I know that I've been in contact with the administrative staff here as well. We discussed a possibility which is being looked at of a office space slightly above the arena. What we were looking at initially, and it's somewhere that the members can actually drop in if they're up in that area and can be present. So that's still in progress.
We make a good staff sergeant. Is the fact is that we do have a space already set up upstairs in the cultural center, just 2 doors down from the fitness center. So it is ready, we're just waiting for a finalized deal.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that would be a great concept. So that would actually put us officers up in your area. So.
Thank you, yeah.
Dale, Jay? Lauren?
I'll make a motion to accept this information.
All in favor? Lou, thanks very much for coming out.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year,
Same to you.
and may your members be safe.
You're welcome.
All right, 7.1, accounts paid as of December 11th, 2023. Can I get a motion, please? All the motion. Any questions? Amber?
Yeah, I have a few things. This is page 5 of 9, the check listing. There are several, but 3 in particular that I'm, checks that are written that are redacted. I don't believe they are employees. I don't think they're employees. Could we get some information on what that is for, who those people are for, and what the checks are for?
If it is that the Merrimack Emergency Council, they are employees through the SALT program that we manage, so they are employees.
They're employees?
Yeah, through the SALT program that we are the managers of that program.
Oh, okay. Thank you. The next page, there's a couple of them. The P3 Capital Partnership, I have an, as you know, this concerns me, this amount of money that we spend per month, on the advisory. And I know that they had come in within the last couple of months to give an update. But I have an issue with this ongoing payment of $5,200 to partnership that we don't get regular updates for. And I know that I'd asked about this before, but how long are we going to keep them on the payroll? And is it possible that we get at least quarterly updates from our contractors?
If I may, Mayor, Deck, members of council, when they were last here, which actually was one meeting removed, I believe it is,
Yeah.
from this. And they will be coming for regular updates on a quarterly basis, both on results that we have. And keeping in mind as well, so that as we are working with both the school and the school division, actually looking at building a new school, they were instrumental in that. In addition to our project that we have with their Heroes for Eternity with the Legion, they're very instrumental with that as well. And part of those, their costs and all of their costs will be recovered through those projects at the end of the day. And that's built into those projects.
But that's only if those projects actually come to fruition.
Well, I would say at this juncture, there's no reason why they wouldn't.
But they haven't yet, so that's my issue. I mean, if we're putting out a lot of money for a consulting company on maybes, right?
Well, I would say the fact is that they came in, it's like with the projects working with the school division, I would say the nature of building a new school, would be willing to hedge that we're gonna build a new school in the town, and that's built as part of that project. You know, so I would say, knowing that we're number one in the list, first through public schools to do that, and it's very adamant in the fact that we're building the business plan now, and actually putting that together in preparation for that. And so the fact is, you know, those are key parts of that, in addition to the Legion project. You know, the Legion project has titled that, or else it's seen homeless, or affordable housing project as well. You know, there's a number of different angles that project can go to be realized. And so at the same time, when they came, part of that is to help us to steer through some of the political issues with it, and their ties in with ministers, which has been very beneficial to us, and will prove to be that way. So I would say at the end of the day, you know, it's those projects are actually, I would say probably I would say 70% to 80% that they're actually get started this year. You know, as far as the planning is going to go, and the Legion project, the year goal is to actually have it start potential construction in 2024.
When in 24? Any idea?
I would probably say mid 2024.
Like shovels in the ground?
That's what we're working for, yes.
Okay, when are they updating us? April?
Well, I would say that they
Or
would
January.
in March.
March?
Well, yeah, because they were just here, so we'd be in
Yeah.
February.
Okay, good. Well, then I look forward to their update. My second question on that same page, so this is 6 of 9. We paid $12,075 to Summit Truck Equipment. That's for a vac truck, right? So is that the one that we purchased, or is that?
We're leased to purchase on that.
Pardon?
It's a lease to purchase agreement on that one.
Is that, so that's what the $12,000
It's the
is?
lease payment, then we, of course, then the 70% gets attributed to the actual final purchase price. And it gets reduced.
Okay, so is that, the 12,000, is that a month that we're paying? Okay, no problem. The same page, just down, we have Kingsgate Legal, and I just need an explanation. I have the understanding that Brownlee is the town's solicitor, correct?
One of our solicitors.
Okay. But we've never had an additional one other than Brownlee or other than Putnam Lawson to do the real estate transactions. Why do we have 2 now?
is because we actually had representation with a member from Brownlee that has since transferred over to Kingsgate, and his file went with him.
So we are
This
keeping
is an
Brownlee and them?
Yeah, because it's an ongoing matter.
Okay, that's all for me, thanks.
All in favor? Carried. 7.2, 2024 operating budget.
Good morning, Mayor and Jack, members of council. The purpose of this report is to respectfully present to council a proposed operating budget for 2024 and a proposed operating budget for 2025 to 2028 to allow for the day-to-day operations with an increase of 8% in net expenditures over the 2023 operating budget. So the proposed budget is being presented with revenues of $7,395,766 against the expenditures of $10,907,504 for a total increase of $273,076, which translates to an increase of 8% over the 2023 year. So I will take you to the budget notes, and the COLA in the Greater Edmonton region in accordance with StatsCan as of October 31st is 3.1. The 2024 municipal operating budget approvals that have been approved or are pending in the Alberta province that we're aware of are as follows: Calgary 7.8, Morinville 7.4, Edmonton 6.6, Strathmore County 5.87, St. Albert 5.5, Coles 4.8, Oakville 4.6, Black Falls 2.9, Innisfail 2.8, and Sturgeon County, which was to be adopted yesterday, 2.13, which represents an average of 5.04. Administration is proposing a 4.8 tax increase with the caveat that the current assessment numbers available for Heartland Station are based on 65% completion. Administration has been advised by our assessors that as of December 31st, 2023, the revised estimate provided to the town prior to the adoption of the tax rate bylaw in May could possibly enable council to bring that down to possibly 2.9. According to Dan Canuka, the town's assessor from Municipal Assessment Services, the present increase in assessment is growth of $8,685,730, inflation of $2,574,240, for a total increase of $11,259,970. Yes?
Sorry to interrupt, but when you mentioned administration is proposing 4.8, I'm reading 4.13.
4.3, pardon me.
Yes.
I'm
Thank you.
sorry.
I just wanted to see that we have that correction.
4.3, I'm sorry.
Thank you so much.
For a total increase of $11,259,970, which is a 2.985 increase in assessment. This assessment, as I stated before, is up to 65% completion. We anticipate a possible increase of another $2 million once the December 31st numbers come in. The 2024 operating budget for council expenses proposes a 4% increase to cover legal counsel matters plus a 3% increase in council remuneration. General administration, the budget proposes 11% increase to cover the replacement of our assistant CAO. In 2003, those funds were transferred to another department to assist with staffing requirements with a primary focus on Family Resource Center and FCSS. Policing, the town in 2024 is set to see a 46% increase in policing costs, which is invoiced by the province. That's non-negotiable. The policing costs represent 5.12% of the tax levy required. Firefighting revenues are anticipated to increase by 3%, and the expenditures are anticipated to increase by 32%. And that's due to a legal opinion that was received from the town solicitors. Firefighters under the provincial labor standards are considered employees now. Therefore, they must be paid for training and on-call which adds $83,009 to the budget, which represents 2.3% of this year's taxation requirements. Disaster services, this department will experience a projected decrease in expenditures of 17% because all of the crack radios are now purchased. Bylaw services is projected to increase by 8%, which includes a slight increase in contract services and associated labor costs. The labor costs are allocated to cover the wages of our existing staff in dealing with bylaw matters. Public Works, the expenses in 2024 are projected to increase by 6% due to the new greater loan payments, which represent the majority of the 6.8 of total expenditures outlined by this department. Roads, the expenses are projected to increase by 9%, which is due in large part because of the 7.6 increase in street lighting, and the remainder is allocated for street roads. Water services, the basic rate for water is identified to increase by 6% as per the town's master rate bylaw, which states that utility rates are to increase yearly as per the CPI of the previous year. The 2023 CPI was 6%. That's an increase of $1.66 per month. Further, water expenditures are proposed to increase by 5%, which is the cost of utilities, which is power and gas. The water commission as of 2023. Sewer services. The sewer rates are required to increase by 15% as per the MGA recommends that utility rates must pay for the cost of operating the utility. Therefore, an increase of $3.55 per month is needed. The Sewer Commission is also raising its distribution rates by 23.34%, an increase of 35 cents per cubic meter. Sewer expenditures are proposed to increase by 5% to cover the increase. Garbage services. Expenditures are projected to increase by 4% to cover the increase in tippage fees set by Roseridge, which are slated to increase from $41 per 1,000 kg to $42.31, an increase of $1.66 per 1,000 kg. FCSS, the proposed expenditure increase is 49%. This covers the addition of 2 positions to this department. One covers community connections, which aids persons in need in assessing services such as counseling, medical, safety, etc. And the other is a youth coordinator position to allow our youth center to be open Monday to Friday. As this position is only part-time, we are having major problems in recruiting, therefore the center is only open 2 afternoons a week. Our youth are in desperate need of a safe place and a person to meet them. Our youth center, when open, is often at capacity and we have to turn it away. And FCSS gave us an average of 191 persons attend per month to our resource center, which is 46 per day. Planning and development. The revenues for this department are increasing by 41%, which represents a portion of the profit realized from the sale of 4.5 acres. Overall expenditure is anticipated to be reduced by 2%. Communities in Bloom are proposed increase of 17%, which covers $1,000 to cover training and wages. Community services. The proposed expenditures are increasing by 21% to cover the cost of IT services, which is 6.5% of department expenditures and the shifting of the costing of salaries. Recreation and parks. There's a proposed increase in revenue.
Are we allowed to ask questions as things are being read? Oh, okay. Can you explain what a shifting of the costing of salaries means?
Well, sometimes when we look at what is actually done by the employee, they do more in Parks and Rec, but they do more at the arena. So we try and allocate the salaries to the proper work that's being done. So sometimes that shifts from year to year. So that is reviewed yearly.
So the funding comes out of the proper cost center.
That's right. That's right. That doesn't mean that the wages are taken, it just means what's actually being done goes to the proper department.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, recreation and parks. There is a proposed increase in revenues of 2% and a decrease in expenditures of 8%, again, due to the shifting of the cost of salaries. Fitness center, there's an increase in revenue of 8% and an increase in expenditures of 2%.
Sorry,
Arena, the proposed budget,
sorry, Mike, just on the fitness center again, you said 8% on the revenues, is it 8 or 3? Because in the document here it says 3.
3, I'm sorry. See, 8. 3% in revenues and an increase in expenditure.
What's the increase in expenditures for, about the 2% increase in expenditures?
That
Why
would
is there a
probably be
decrease?
Utilities or maintenance of equipment.
So you don't, that's it? It's just generic? I guess I have a little bit of an issue, just everything being so vague.
Well, I think, if I could, Mayor Deck, Mayor Councilor Harris, is the CPI is 3.1%. And so goods and supplies that are needed in each of the different areas, we attribute the cost of inflation when we see those prices that go up. It could be wipes because the fitness center is very heavy, we have lots of wipes. If that goes up 2% instead of 3% because of the purchaser, we only put 2%. We don't just move it up 3.1%, which is the cost of living or inflation generally. So other types of equipment and repairs can go up that much. And so we add that cost into it. So versus, having a significant impact in any one given year. So if it goes up 2%, that's where we anticipate those expenditures going, which builds into those costs of supplies and changes in that.
Okay, but isn't the whole budget, or the whole purpose of, sorry,
If I could, is that with it is that, and that's within every department, because every department has goods and supplies that it buys from other people. And that's fasteners, it could be cleaners, it could be shovels, it could be all of that stuff that is added throughout the entire budget because of course, we have how many departments and how many tasks that we do and how many pieces of goods we reply. But if you take a look at any store that goes up, any hardware store, the price goes up for a cost of a screw or for a lock or things that you need to replace. Well, we have to adjust our prices to do that. It's not saying that any one goes up, let's say $500 versus, $2. Well, then obviously that's a different thing versus something that says we just have a gradual increase of 2.5%. So really what we're doing is when we go through our budget, we take a look at those items. And if it's actually 2% increase, we only put 2%. We don't just automatically say 3.1. So we try to be realistic in where our budget is actually close to what the reality of operations and buying and securing those goods are. So a lot of times we say, well, that's a lot of changes. Well, we buy lots of stuff on a given day, in order to operate the town. It could be oil for, changing oil in the trucks. It could be buying, tape, for particular purposes. It could range for such as different paper. It could be staplers, it could be staples. But there's so many that throughout an entire operation that we do, but we don't just mark every single one and say, well, that's up 2%. But we just look at that, what that average is over the department, and we make that adjustment.
well, but the problem that I have here is that it's all very vague. Council doesn't have the ability to ask specific questions to department heads and decide whether or not we're going to put the money into an extra employee or not, for example.
But
So
we're looking in each of the departments, that Councilor Harris, that's what we're talking about, particular items saying, staff and family community support services. We're gonna look at it and council says, we don't like this, we'd like to look at something else. We'll say, well, this is what this means to the budget.
okay, but at the end of the day, council are the ones who approve it. And so what I'm seeing right now is administration is telling council what we're to vote on.
We're proposing.
Okay, but regardless, administration is telling council what to vote on without council having the ability to go and really have all of the information available and have the ability to say, we don't want to spend money on that this year.
See, our job as operations is to look at what's needed to run the town and, you know, to do it on a day-to-day basis and look at the information. It's not council's role is to get into the minutia.
I'm not asking to
Well,
get in.
But at the same time, is that we're expected to deliver a set of services. So if council's saying that we would like to reduce the budget, we would look and say to administration, we would like to consider this is where it is, bring forward items that would address them.
When are we allowed to do that though? When
Well,
does that actually happen?
Well, actually, there's another meeting that's being proposed for next Monday night, is another one. We could have another 2 or 3 if council so chooses. This is just being provided to council for information at this stage. We're not asking for council to make a formal decision today. In
But
fact,
you are in a week though.
But it could be, council may say that we'd like to do it in 2 meetings. But then we would need to do, in order to do that, is to pass an interim budget, which would be based on last year's operating budget. And that's why it's actually one of the recommendations or one of the motions that's part of the report. We're not asking council to make a hard and fast decision today. If the council, you know, we have a meeting set up potentially for Monday, if council so chooses, we could actually, council could say we'd like to set up 2 more meetings. And then we would adjust from that. But right now, we're just providing a proposal to council for consideration. Looking at what the economy is, what it takes to run our operation, you know, how many red pens it takes, or, you know, those types of things. And we're trying to propose that in order to deliver the service, to deal with the kids and the families and the communities from that, from recreation, you know, to the ex-users, to, you know, plowing streets, all of those type of things, that's what our role is to do. So we're bringing forward saying this is what we're proposing that we would need to do that. The council can say, choose and say, you know, we'd like to reduce that, come back with us with some recommended changes. And we would.
But if we don't know what the specifics are.
But you see, council's job isn't to get into the specifics.
But we have gone into the specifics before.
No, we haven't.
Up until a year and a half ago.
No, we never got into the specifics. We got into looking at major changes, and that's what here it's just in a different format. It's in written format. So.
Thank you.
Arena, the 2024 proposed budget includes a revenue increase of 29%. That is a result of the work being done at the arena and the increase in user groups presently happening at the arena. In 2023 year, the increase in revenues at the arena to date is 39.24% increase over anticipated budget. The proposed increase in expenditure is 18%, which covers an increase in staffing and the cost of utilities. Presently, staffing is tight at the arena to the point that should our 2 full-time positions become sick or require longer-term leave, the town may have to adjust its operations significantly due to limited staff to operate it. 1 more full-time position is required for the arena. Curling rate, anticipated revenues are 8% higher than last year, but the expenditures are anticipated to increase by 24% to cover the cost of utilities and staff. Facilities, the proposed expenditures to budgeted to increase by 10% to cover the cost of carbon tax and maintenance of equipment. Museum, in the coming year, we anticipate the revenues for the museum to increase by 9% and expenditures to increase by 5%. The concession did very well last summer, and the increase of utilities is causing the increase in expenditures. SSD Learning Center, which is the Putnam building, there is no projected increase in revenues. And whereas there's an 88% decrease in expenditure, which is expected because now the renovations have all been completed. The Resource Center, there is an anticipated loss of revenue of 2% due to the loss of a renter, and the expenditures are anticipated to decrease by 25% due to the realignment of the cost of the staff. Cultural Center, revenues are expected to remain the same, and expenditures anticipated to increase by 10% to cover staffing realignment and utilities. Library, the library's anticipated revenues to remain the same, and the expenditures to increase by 1%. So the 2024 operating budget is presented containing an overall increase of 8%, which will translate into a 4.2% increase to the 2024 mill rate at this time. It is extremely important to note that once the final assessment numbers are provided, administration is anticipated anticipating that increase can be adjusted downward to possibly as low as 3.9. A $300,000 house in 2023 experienced.
Councilor Barry?
Yeah, just a question. Under mill rate impacts, you have 4.8 increase. Is that an error again? Because you're proposing a 4.3 increase.
Pardon me, that's in
Yeah.
there, and I'm just getting there. Yeah, 4.3, pardon me. My fingers. $300,000 house in 2023 experienced $2,261.30 in municipal tax. Whereas the same house in 2024 may experience the following: $2,362.48, which is $101.18 per year, or $8.43 a month, or 28 cents a day.
Does that remain true now that we've identified that it should be
Yes.
4.3?
I think you're correct, that actually when it talks about the average of, let's say, 300,000. As you said, it's earlier on, it talked about growth and inflation. So some of their house values and such like that could, have an impact of that as well. Depending on where they were, prior to, there could have been more inflation that experienced in houses in the neighborhood of 300,000 versus others. So they themselves might see that just because their house value went up.
There's been no house value go up in Gibbons in 5 years.
Excuse me,
Just saying.
no comment.
Well, you say a lot, but you say nothing.
Yeah, he talks a lot of fluff.
You know what? If you cannot be quiet, you will be asked to leave. All right? Please carry on.
Okay, the police cost, in 2023, the town was invoiced by police services by the province, the equivalent of 0.3285 mils. 2024, the invoice is scheduled to increase to 0.4632 mils, which is a 41% increase. To assist with offsetting the policing costs, the town is transferring $60,243 from reserves that was set up in 2021 after the town was able to negotiate a new waste management agreement. 2024 salaries. Administration is proposing a budget that includes a 2.75 COLA increase, which includes staffing increase in public works Part 1, starting March 1st. The shifting.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but what exactly are we to do with this information? I mean, when administration is saying that, proposing staff members, I want to know why we need a new staff specifically. I want to know why. I want to know how else, if there's any opportunities for administration to make changes, because council is ultimately responsible for any increase in approving any increase in the residents' taxes. And frankly, if I'm stopped at the post office and somebody asks me why we have a 4.8% increase in taxes, I want to be able to say that council has had all of the information laid in front of them, and we have made an educated decision. And I can say, well, we need a new or another employee in this department because of this. I can't, and none of us can, with what's being presented right now. We get.
I may continue, Councillor Harris?
No, actually,
No,
attempt
she
to answer
can't.
your question.
You asked a question, let her answer.
Okay.
Okay, so increase in public works of 1 FTE starting March the 1st. The shifting of 2 staff members from public works to utilities to cover the growth of the staffing increase, to cover the growth is why. So we have employees that did partially utilities, which is water, sewer, and the rest is public works. With the increase in the utilities growth requirement, those employees are now shifting to utilities, so it leaves public works short-staffed. That's why the suggestion is that there is a staffing increase of 1 person. It's to assist them so that they can continue to provide the services that are required by the town.
Now, is it required Or is this, are these services that are mandated, or can we make cuts? I mean, that's the problem that I'm having, is that I want to know if, and be able to say, no, we don't need a full-time staff at this moment, or can we do without? And we don't get that opportunity.
We can ask our superintendent of public works if he feels that an extra staff member is required in his department.
Okay, well, I'm sure that the superintendent of public works will absolutely say that there is a requirement. Okay, I'm certain. Thank you very much. But that-
Can I say something? This is the first blush look at the budget. It is not gonna be passed today. It is take it home, analyze it. We need to pass an interim budget to keep the lights on January 1 and keep going, which is based on the 2023 budget. We'll have further meetings to discuss this, and if we want to set a lower mill rate or tell the administration to come back and we want this dropped, we will have that opportunity, Councillor Harris.
When?
And it can go through
Yeah,
the recommendations that we have at least 2 other meetings, and we could have 10 other meetings if we need them.
Like we did last year. Carry on.
I'm just, when you were talking and asking about not hiring another person for public works, so then as I understand it, the eventual outcome will be that instead of the snow removal being in 2 or 3 days, it may be 2 weeks. The grass will only be cut every other week, stuff like that. That's what happens when you cut back.
Yes,
And
that's
is that
right.
what you're proposing? That
Well,
you're-
how can we give an answer either way if we don't get to ask questions?
I don't understand what you're trying to ask. I'm just saying that cutting one person, is everybody agreeing that they're willing to put up with no snow removal or anything?
I don't even know what's.
Mr. O'Malley.
Mayor Deck, members of council, is very much so when we go through this, as we said, this is the first question presented to council for information. Knowing that there could be 1, could be 3, could be 5, could be 15 different meetings as we go through. As we go through, council has the ability to pass a motion as a whole, is to direct administration to bring back different scenarios if it so chooses. At that point in time, is it will bring back different options for council's consideration, and council at that point in time can determine if with certain services that are continue to be provided at a certain level, it could be increased level, could be decreased level, or not just provide that one at all. But at the same time, is that each of those, as it comes through, when council approves of what they wish, it's gonna have either impacts one way or the other. But the difference is when council as a whole directs administration to bring something back, we will do that. At the same time, from there is that, we will do that homework necessary with it. But at this stage, going through all of our departments and their operations and what we're looking forward to, what the challenges going forward with the cost increase, all of that, is that's what's built into this budget. And so that's our job to do that.
But it's
So
our
that's why we're
job,
providing.
as
And
it's
we
our
respect
job to
it.
do,
Right.
monitor you.
Right, and we understand that, and I respect that. But I also respect as well as our job is to take direction from council as a whole and provide that information. When council says, administration, we'd like you to bring back this type of scenario. If we want to see a 10% reduction, then council can do that, and then we can bring back different items that will help to achieve that. We'll be doing our best to try to retain the level of services that are there. Or we'll put it up for council to consider, well, if you want to achieve that, this is a service that you may have to decide not to provide anymore. Or at a different level, instead of, as mentioned, instead of snow removal, 3 days and, right after snowfall, maybe it is a week. Those type of things, but at that point in time, the administration will bring that back.
I hope everybody comes to the open house.
Staffing increase in the arena starting January the 1st of 1 FTE to ensure that our facility can remain open for the bookings that we currently have. Staffing increase in FCSS of 2 FTE to cover the needs of our community and group. projects. The proposed 2024 operating budget includes advancing our asset management program with comprehensive GIS system at a cost of $60,000, of which we have also already received a $50,000 grant from FCA. That's been in the works for 2 years. Utility rate impact. Administration has provided a chart below that outlines the changes to both water, wastewater, and garbage for 2023 to 2024. So the increase to a basic water bill would be $10.48. That is 35 cents a day, of which $5.25 or 18 cents a day is due to the increase in the Air and Wastewater Commission. Therefore, the increase that is controlled by the town is $5.23 over 2 years, as the rates did not increase in 2023. Overall, the primary components that are proposed in 2024 represent an aggregate increase of 8% over 2023, of which the increases to policing and fire department are both provincially mandated and supplemented by increased services to our persons in need and to our youth community. This extremely challenging time and play a significant role in keeping other municipal service levels constant. The tax impact of Heartland Station. The sale of the 4.5 acres is also known as Heartland Station has generated over $480,000 in profit and another $164,535.78 in new dollars, which totals 19% of the current tax budget. Without the Heartland Station project, the resulting increase would have been 19.35%. This development is projected to help benefit each of these average homeowners by plus or minus $345.42 per year in taxes, plus to maintain the service levels at what they are today. For the average homeowner, you may see collective costs for both utilities and taxes to amount to approximately $229.95 a year, or $18.90 a month, or $4.41 a week, or 63 cents a day. In summary, administration is proposing an 8% budget increase in 2023, of which 6.38 is controlled by outside forces, with the remaining 1.62% designed to address cost of living growth and overall health and wellness pressures facing the citizens of Gibbons. The utilities are set by the commission, 1.1%. Fire services, which is legislated by the province and CRA, is 2.48%. Carbon tax, legislated by the federal government, is 1%. Policing, which is legislated by the province, is 1.8%. Street lights goes up by 0.004%. So the total increase is controlled by the municipality is 1.62%, which it represents an increase of $55,107.81.
Mr. Mayor?
Bill?
What does that 1.62 look like after the reassessment potential? So you're saying come March or so, or sorry, end of December, there was a reassessment that could increase the assessment of that property by $2 million. What does that affect, or how does that affect that 1.62%?
There was a council and councillor decision that would not affect the budget, it would affect the mill rate.
Maureen?
There are a lot of percentages presented, and I just for myself especially, but also for people who are in the gallery. You're proposing a 4.3% tax increase. Is that the same as a 4.3% mill rate? And then another question: you are proposing an 8%. An 8% increase in the operating budget. There are different percentages. So when somebody from the community asks me, how much are the taxes going up? What percentage? What do I tell them? Which of those numbers do I use?
4.3%. is what the possible mill rate increase could be. That is not decided until May, once all the province identifies what the grants will be and the final assessment numbers are in.
Okay.
Right now, the assessment numbers are only at 65% of the development inside.
So essentially, the tax increase is the same as the mill rate,
Yes, it is.
4.3. That helps me understand things a little bit better. The 8% in operating, that's just one portion of the budget. Is that correct?
8% is, so last year, council adopted a operating budget.
Mhm.
This year, what is proposed or what is put before you shows an 8% increase from last year's expenditures to the coming year.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, what generates the dollars to cover that is the mill rate. Plus all of the revenues that have come in. The biggest impact to the budget was the sale of the 4.5 acres plus the development of that 4.5 acres. If it wouldn't be for that, the picture would be much different. Because those revenues now are included as revenues in the coming year.
So there is a possibility that the tax increase will be 3.9%, is what you're suggesting.
That's a council decision, yes.
Okay. That would be wonderful. And I promised somebody that I talked to in the community that I would emphasize the importance of keeping our tax increase as low as possible, because inflationary costs, the cost of everything is going up, and people are feeling the pinch like you would not believe. So if there is any other way of reducing that tax increase, I would welcome it on behalf of all of the people that are suffering these same conditions.
Mayor Deck, Member of the Councilor Berry, as it was mentioned in the report, is that we're using 480,000.
Can you speak up? Sorry.
So,
Yep, thanks.
So in looking at it, as we were saying in the report, that we've attributed 480,000 in net proceeds from the sale of the cell. We're just in the process of trying to finalize all the numbers, and in fact, that number may be even higher. Well, of course, it will be most likely be higher, but we're trying not to utilize all of it this year, in essence. I have provided members of council a preliminary report with those numbers, with some displayed numbers, which are markedly higher. But we're just actually trying to make sure that when we give that to council to say this, is that we have absolutely guaranteed where it is. And those numbers are very closely looking to be realized. So could there be some other very significant impact for a downward slope? Absolutely. But we want to make sure at this point in time, though, is that we're also looking at being, prudent as far as future as well, and looking what that would be. Because we're also looking at future growth in some of the other development, once the grocery store is online. Well, that's going to bring roughly between this almost another 160,000 in new taxes next year as well, in addition to, once that's fully online and the other strip mall as part of that development. And then we also have some other houses that are starting construction as well, and some that are in the process of being sold, that those will be realized. In addition to a number of the other things that we're involved in, is actually, because the big thing about it, in just cutting short, we're also looking at what is going to be a consistent revenue stream, not just one-time funding. So that way, when you build things into your budget and what you're looking to do in services, they can be services that if council likes them and wants them to continue because the people are saying we want that. We want to make sure that council has the ability to ensure that it's going to be there year after year, but also not see a significant impact because we just use one-time funding. We want to make sure that there's a consistent residual revenue stream. So those are things that are part of the overall mix. So we're not just saying to the council, hey, do this and throw it all in there. When you have a great year this year, that you don't have to have any tax increase. Because then what you're really doing is setting up everybody for a big one next year. And we're trying to make sure that we can manage that, whereas when people get used to a level of service, they're gonna be able to enjoy that on an ongoing basis without another big hit. You know, considering some of the other choices and some of the other numbers that have been out there around the region and even beyond that have been quite significant. You know, and I also, when you talk about 8% and such, is that just for an example, if we did absolutely zero increase, just the change in policing would be a 1.8% increase. The change to the legislation dealing with fire services and taking it more from a volunteer now to paid, that would have another 2.48%. And I'm pretty sure with based on our community and the role and responsibility, you know, council can change that if they just want to do away with the fire department. But I'm pretty sure that's not the route they would like to take. But at the same time, we're trying to set it up where the impact that we can actually control, i.e. 1.62%, is as low and as cost controlled as we can based on the level of services the council and the town receives. So that's what we're trying to do.
So if I've understood everything you said correctly, really the only portion of the budget that we have any control over is the 1.6%.
Or the change in level of services.
Or the change in level of services. Okay, thank you.
Amber?
What happens if we don't do anything? What happens if we don't make any decisions until after the 31st of December? What happens? Like, let's say we didn't pass an interim budget, we didn't okay an interim budget by the 31st of December. I mean, is it mandated?
Yes.
It's mandated that we have to pass an interim. It is. Oh, okay. So what happens if we didn't?
The doors are closed.
I'm sorry?
The doors are closed. There's no money to operate, so the office is closed.
Okay. Thanks.
Christmas.
There are 3 options on the beginning of this. Does anyone on the council want to make a motion? You know what, I will read them. The council reviewed the 2024 operating budget and the 2025 to 2028 proposed operating budget is option 1. That council sets an open house to present the 2024 operating budget to the public on Monday, December 18th at 2023 at 7 p.m. in council chambers. Or 3, the council set a special meeting on Wednesday, December 20th, 2023 at 10 a.m. to adopt either the proposed 2024 budget as presented or to adopt an interim operating budget for 2024. Dale?
Am I reading this correctly, that these aren't options, these aren't or options? We could actually appoint or assign all 3 of these. So we take the time to review it. We also recommend setting the open house for Monday the 18th, and we also recommend a special meeting on the 20th.
Yes,
Am I
or
reading
you
that
could
correctly?
break them out
Any
however
order.
a motion would come to the floor.
Then I think I'd like to make the motion that we adopt all 3 of these recommendations.
Discussion?
Yeah, you know, considering, I mean, this is right before Christmas. We're gonna have an open house right before Christmas. If that doesn't scream, we're not gonna involve the community, I don't know what does. Is there any way that we can, do this in January?
We could do it right till May if we want,
Well,
so long as we pass
I
the
mean,
interim operating budget to keep the staff and the lights on,
Oh,
yes.
Okay, well, then the option 3 of setting the special meeting I'd like a recorded vote, please. We have
Councilor Harris, I understand you're concerned about the 20th meeting. I think that meeting gives us the opportunity to go back, review this, and come back with questions, and book another meeting in January if we need to.
Well, I'll tell you, if that will happen, I will be on board. If council's, why don't we set another one for sure in stone so that it happens?
Because in my opinion, it depends on what we find as far as questions go by the Wednesday meeting. If we have no questions, and I'm not expecting that we won't, but if we have no questions, we don't need the secondary meeting. If we have tons of questions and they need time to come back to us with it, then we're gonna need another meeting after that.
But here's my issue that I have with it. So we're gonna take home these pages with a whole bunch of numbers, and then we're gonna come back in a week from now. And if we have any questions, we can't even ask follow-up questions to propose another. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's just not transparent, and I am not comfortable with this. If you want to do that, I think that we should at least consider 2 meetings. We'll have one before Christmas and then one in January, and not make any decisions.
Would there be any reason to not book 2? And if we decide next week we don't need the second one, then we cancel it. If we don't, we don't.
Okay, so have 2, pencil in 2, and then is that
If
what I
you
understand?
don't need it.
Then we cancel it.
Sure, I'd be okay with that.
Councilor Sandal.
So I'm trying to understand what you're proposing. So you're suggesting that we do nothing until the next year, correct?
Yes, that's what
Well,
everybody in
then,
this
so
room heard.
on January
You know what,
1st.
point of order. Point of order. I think,
He's asking you.
well, I mean, no, actually, I feel that Councillor Sandhall at every turn asks questions like this.
No,
Councillor Sandhall, I will,
It's a point of privilege, actually, is what you're supposed
oh,
to be
thank
asking.
you. Thanks very much for the clarification. What I'm saying is that we will pencil in 2 meetings. One for the public and us next week, and then a follow-up one in January after the Christmas.
The question I have
Yes?
is that, so if we do not approve a interim
We
budget.
haven't moved on to the interim budget.
No.
Okay, so,
This
but
is-
he
this is-
made a proposal for all 3 proposals in that motion. That's what I was wondering about.
Please.
Councilor Yushishin has made 2 motions. One, that council accept this as information, the 2024 operating budget as information, and set an open house to present the 2024 operating budget to the public for Monday, December 18, 2023. The second motion, Councilor Yushishin moved the council set a special meeting for Wednesday, December 20th at 10 a.m. to address the 2024 budget. At that point, council can either accept the budget or accept an interim budget, and you can then set a second meeting in January to continue budget discussions.
We will have
All
to-
I'm proposing
we will
is
have-
let's make one in
A second date.
a second date.
Do you accept that as a friendly amendment?
I'd accept that.
Okay, what is the calendar of events?
The first council meeting in January is January the 10th.
10th? Council, is that?
Yep.
Amber?
Sure.
Okay. Farrell?
Mayor Deck, members of council, with that, it would be, looking at the second date, just to make sure that there's no presupposition of that. It may be worthy of council to consider passing an interim budget today, which then takes away the pressure. And at any point in time it wants to replace it, it can do so anytime at a meeting. Because if you're looking to set a date in January, it does provide that. And so then that's already done, and then you still have the ability to either do without it or just, pass the new budget.
We'll have the meeting on the 20th, we'll pass the interim budget, we're not gonna let the lights get turned off. So we're meeting on the 20th, I think that will suffice. And if we're still discussing budget into January, that's fine, so long as the lights are on.
Is it safe to assume as well that as we're going through this over this week before the meeting on the 20th, if we have points that we want to ensure we get answered, we can contact administration and let them know we'd like something at our meeting on the 20th, as opposed to asking it on the 20th.
Yeah.
And we have to wait until January.
I would suggest that from any members of council.
But if I may, that's the problem, is that, so we're just gonna have a flurry of emails if any of us have questions about this, and we don't get to have discussion?
No, there'll be discussion. I think what council you
No, we just said not ask questions.
You want clarification.
As an example, if I go through here and I've got questions about the budget,
Mhm.
I don't wanna wait until next Wednesday to ask them, because they may not have the answers for me at that time. I wanna I wanna let them know I'm going to ask this on
Oh,
the
so you just
20th.
wanna submit the questions
Yes.
that you have?
Yes.
Okay.
So that we can discuss it on the 20th.
Okay, we have two motions on the floor. First one being,
Accept the 2024 budget as information and set an open house to present the 2024 operating budget to the public for Monday, December 18th, 2023.
I'd like recorded votes for all of these, please.
all in favor? Unanimous? Okay,
Second motion, is Council Yushisha move that council set a special meeting for Wednesday, December 20th at 10 a.m. to address the 2024 operating budget, and that the budget be brought forward again on the January 10th, 2024 regular meeting of council.
and can you slide into that also the interim budget?
Why is that a morning meeting?
Nothing's been changed yet, we were waiting on live
But isn't
streaming.
that the second meeting in the month? Shouldn't it be a 7 p.m. meeting?
No, that's January 10th is the first meeting.
No, we do morning and then evening, and morning and evening. That's how it's been.
Yes, that's right, it is set as a morning meeting.
No, but this is the morning meeting in December.
There is no other meeting in December.
Oh, I see.
The time was set for Wednesday, December the 20th at 10 a.m. Council certainly has the ability to change that time.
Can I make a friendly amendment to have that an evening meeting, please? Would that be acceptable?
That was the 20th.
Yeah, on both, for both of them, to have evening meetings on both.
Councilor,
I have a problem with the motion, the way Chris has written it, because it doesn't address the interim budget.
The council can deal with that at that time, on the 20th. The interim, you will need to make a decision before the 31st of December, whether you're gonna pass the budget or whether you're gonna pass an interim. My suggestion, when you get to the 20th meeting, you can make that choice then, whether to pass the budget or pass an interim budget. Unless council would like to call another special meeting before the end of the year, we could pass an interim budget.
Are you comfortable with
I
that?
am comfortable.
Your decorating to council will be, because a special meeting can only address the items that are on the agenda and those only. So it may be prudent to put one of these, first is the budget, and then it's the second line, the interim budget. So that way those are on the agenda right from the start.
And the friendly amendment for an evening meeting? That's good, thank you.
For both
is
council meeting-
all of council available?
No.
Sorry, one more thing. If council chooses to move the January 10th meeting that is currently set at 10 a.m., that requires its own separate motion,
The January 10th, we can leave as a regular schedule.
which is a day meeting. Councilor Harris was asking for an evening meeting.
Except I thought a couple of meetings back, we said all 2024 meetings would
We're
be
going to
evening.
evening, that's right, so that's
Yeah.
still changed.
You are
If
correct.
you're not live streaming that then.
Norm, you cannot make it?
No, personal issues.
Okay. We will, can you make a daytime meeting that day? Or are you out completely?
I can't commit right now, but
Okay,
daytime meeting
I-
possibly, yeah.
I understand. Do you mind us moving forward with the evening meeting?
No, go ahead, but, if I can't make it, I can't make it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Do you want?
One more time, please.
Councilor Shishin moved that council set a special meeting for Wednesday, December 20th at 7 p.m. to address the 2024 operating budget and the interim 2024 operating budget. And that it be brought forward again on the January tenth, 2024 regular meeting of council.
All in favor?
Councilor Harris just
Carried.
wanted a recorded vote on that one as well?
Yes, please.
Unanimous.
Oh,
Oh, sorry, Norm.
Who voted it?
Opposed, no.
Councilor Sandal.
Can I ask a quick question, just on the
No,
time?
no, sorry,
The
no,
time, I didn't catch the time.
7.
For the January 10th meeting? 7? Okay, sorry, I just missed that part.
So with regards to 7.3 interim capital budget, because we'll be deciding on the 20th, we do not need to go to this, do we, Money?
Two separate budgets in there.
Sorry, capital.
Mayor Decker's Council of Municipal Government Act states that a municipality must pass a capital budget before January 1st of each calendar year by resolution of council. If a capital budget is unable to be passed, an interim capital budget must be passed until such time as a capital budget can be passed by council. The purpose of this report is to respectfully request that council approve the 2024 interim capital budget in the amount of $5,834,545 that consists of proposed projects as detailed. Additional hydrants to the downtown core, accessibility for the dewdrop, and, the additional hydrants will be covered under the federal gas tax, which is CCD, Canada Community Builder Grant. The accessibility for the dewdrop in the museum of $275, which will be covered by an accessibility grant. Cottage project of $2,650,000, which would be covered by a local improvement tax bylaw. Stone subdivision sewer upgrades, $950,000, which would be covered by borrowing bylaw. Memorial Park finish, $750,000. $300,000 would be from the Canada Community Builder Grant. The other one from the grant that we received from the CFAP, which was money that was transferred over to the town from the Ag Society. Cemetery columbarium, $22,000 out of reserves. Sidewalk pedestrian, which would be covered under the new MSI grant. And the rest out of $73,000 out of the new grant. We're only right now anticipating $300,000 out of that grant. We don't know what that will be. I budgeted conservatively. Electric SUV, which was approved in November by council, covered by grant and MSI. Half-ton truck, $45,000 covered by MSI. Fire truck, $795,437 covered by grants if we can find them, or loan. Electric gators, which were approved in November, $44,863. 13 out of the grant, 31 out of MSI. Battery operated hydraulic extraction tools covered by MSI. A lawnmower covered by MSI.
Yep.
Just confusion here again. In your recommendation, you're mentioning $5,834,545, but on your sheet, it's $5,856,000. Or sorry, $5,856,000.
Okay, so
So-
5,856,545.
So that 856 is the correct number.
Again, just clarification, all of the expenditures that are presented in the capital budget are being paid for by grants, MSI and other grants, these do not affect the proposed, income tax, percentage. Okay. Okay, so I would like to make the motion that is presented here, that council approve the 2024 interim capital budget in the amount of $5,834,545 to be funded through the utilization of federal and provincial grant programs and municipal reserves as identified.
Yeah.
Just a question, if we're approving this as an interim, when will we be discussing the final?
Council decision there, council, that would only be after we know what the province is going to be doing with their grants. As well, if we can access some grants as well through the federal government, as we are working presently on an accessibility grant of anywhere between $500,000 to $3 million to provide. So it'll depend on when we can firm up the numbers from the grants. So the only two that have been pre-approved right there, well, the cottage project, but the two SUV vehicles, you have a motion already that those go ahead. So these are the only two that could go forward, the rest would have to come back to council.
So that actually was my next question, is none of this actually happens until we identify that we've got the grant money for it.
Exactly.
Amber?
Considering we're supposed to get our agenda packages, at 1:00 on the Monday, prior to the meeting, and we received this information, less than 24 hours, prior to making a decision. Is there any way that we can, table this decision and add this to the special meeting agenda for next week?
We already have a motion on the floor.
I'm asking, I'm sorry?
We have
Say friendly
A friendly amendment then, because, I mean, we haven't even had a chance to go through this.
Earl?
Mayor, I agree with Councilor Harris. You know, one of the key things knowing this is an interim, the only projects that can go forward are the ones that already received council approval to go forward.
Okay, but
all the other ones would not go forward until the money has been secured and it comes back to council for
Mr. O'Malley, I understand that. We've had less than 24 hours to even read an 85-page agenda package.
I mean, I'll due respect with that understanding, that's also why with this, is that there was, any outside of the decisions that council has already made, there's none that will have an impact or negative impact. I understand where you're coming from.
Okay, then if you understand, it shouldn't be a problem to put this on hold for a week. Why can't we just?
Council, what do you want to see? I want your motion to go forward.
I'd like the motion to go forward. I don't see any impact any negative impact from. I'd like the motion to go forward. I don't see any negative impact by us approving this as an interim budget, because any project will have to be, get the council's approval in any case. So I would like it to go ahead.
Would you like a recorded vote?
Yes, please.
All in favor? All opposed? Councilor Harris. 10-minute recess.